Hello, is anybody there? Company's come in. It's the Tales Point Horror Book Club, the babysitter. Oh, they had to do that with the phone. If you didn't see that, go back and see my appalling acting after. Hi guys. Hello. Right, we're going to be chatting about The Babysitter by R L Stine, and I'm going to add our special guest in, Rosie Talbot. I'm so excited to speak to Rosie. And I can't wait to see what she thought of this. Hi Tam, hi everybody, hi Melina. Hopefully Rosie will be joining if I've done it right. Hi Rosie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, I can see you. We're good. You okay?
Earbuds. Yeah, my earbuds have completely stopped working. I had a plan.
Oh,
I didn't.
that's
As long
okay.
as you can hear me without them, we're fine. Let me put this back in.
This is what happens on these live chats. Oh, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I've had a. Okay, I was gonna lie. I said I've had a really productive day. It took me all day to do one task. It was a big task. Like it was a big task,
As long
but
as it was worth it, that's the main thing. Have you had Easter eggs and lots of chocolate?
my parents gave me an Easter egg, so I've been nibbling at it as I
Oh,
worked today.
yeah, I like a
But I
good
got the
nibble.
thing I needed. Yeah, I got the work I had to do done today. So
Oh, brilliant. Well done.
that's
I call that a productive day.
happy you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Has been nibbling on the chocolate egg while I've been doing the housework, so
It does
productive.
sound really better, doesn't
Yeah, it
it?
does
Like
help.
that and a good audiobook. Chocolate audiobook, hoovering. It's how it's done.
Perfect. Just perfection. Mwah! Chef's kiss.
So I've got my cup.
Oh,
This is my
oh.
reward for my hard work. I was so scared. I was like, where did I put the babysitter? Where is it? And I said to my partner, I was like, have you seen the babysitter? And he was like, we don't have a baby. I was like, no, not ours. I mean, like, the baby.
The confusion on your partner's face must have been like a picture. You were like,
He's like, is that something I judged? No,
what?
it's a book called
Oh.
Babysitter.
Well, thanks for joining us, Rosie. I've been so excited to chat to you. I'm just a big fan, a big Rosie fan, a big fan of your books, and I can't wait to hear what you thought about The Babysitter. And thanks to everyone who's joining in the comments. Feel free to put some comments up and I'll read them out. And we'll just have a good old chinwag, a good old chat. So if you don't know who Rosie is the lover of the strange, the magical, the downright spooky, and a glorious spinner. I've got this off your website of fantastical yarns, hoarder of books, lover of pockets, agent of chaos, bookseller extraordinaire that I added in, and author of the wonderful 16 Souls and its sequel, 12 Bones, and upcoming Phantom Hearts, which had a cover reveal last week, and it's amazing.
Isn't
Oh,
it gorgeous? So the artist is Sarah Maxwell, who, if you haven't seen Sarah's work, oh my
oh,
goodness. It's
oh,
like
wow.
it's like it's romantic and oh it's so gorgeous. She's doing like fine line black and white. So the whole graphic novel is essentially a coloring book as well. And I am gonna yeah, I know. Because we're like,
Wow.
oh, do we do full color? Do we do black and white? I was like, black and white, because then we can color it.
That's
Like
genius.
it's really I know, but she's so talented, and I love just looking at her website and her socials. For she did this really like lesbian Barbie on horseback, like a lady night, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm obsessed. So
Oh,
she said yes to work with me on this project. I feel very, very lucky.
oh, oh, wow. That sounds amazing. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Me
So,
too.
so tell us a little bit more about Phantom Hearts, like a little sneaky, snippety bit, maybe.
It's a graphic novel, and I would say it's a bit of a mashup between A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Stopper. In that there is a murder mystery that the whole story centers around. So it's about a girl called Malia in a small, reasonably sized English town, and her father is a bus driver, and one day there's a horrible crash and it kills the 4 teenagers on board, and her father's in a coma, and the community starts to blame him, saying that he either crashed the bus on purpose or that the accident was his fault. And then Malia meets a cute mechanic who's working on the investigation as to whether or not this was an accident or mechanical failure, and she says somebody messed with the brakes. And then the girls realize that actually all the 4 teenagers on board who are at the school, they all had secrets that somebody would kill for. So who's up? And
wow.
then because it's me and it has to be paranormal and spooky, Malia starts to see the ghosts of the teenagers killed in the crash. So she is able to, talk to them to try and unpick the mystery. And of course, it's got the chaotic queer found family vibes, because they all kind of band together. And there's lots of 10 Things I Hate About You references. These movies.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. See the excitement on my face. I'm like,
Yeah.
Sounds so good.
It
sounds so good.
It's like gets you with the mystery, hits you with the feels.
I can't wait. So excited. So excited. When's that out, Rosie? Just remind me, because I always get dates wrong.
Coming out in September.
Brilliant. Yes. Going to pre-order that as soon as I get off the chat.
Yes, you can pre-order it. It's up on Amazon, Blackwell's, Waterstones, all the regular kind of good places that you can order books. And obviously, if you have a local indie bookshop, please support your local indie if you can, because we love them and
Definitely.
we want to keep those lovely books.
100%. I saw Tam put, I loved 16 Souls. Sharon put, we love Rosie.
You?
Someone's asked, Lexi has asked, does Phantom Hearts have any link to 16 Souls, or is it completely separate?
It's a completely separate universe. It's completely separate world. It is still in the same way that 16 Souls is a recognizable version of our world. Phantom Hearts is also a recognizable version of our world. And in fact, the ghostly element is a lot more subtle. I mean, even though they are still there, they are still making a nuisance of themselves. I feel with 16 Souls, the entire point is that it's an adventure with ghosts. In Phantom Hearts, it's a much more akin to Heartstopper-esque type story about coming of age and first love. There just happen to be ghosts involved in that as well.
We love the ghosts.
So it feels, even though it's still dealing with some heavy issues, it feels quite different. It feels more like a contemporary paranormal mystery than a sort of fantasy paranormal. Like, I wouldn't put the fantasy first. I would put that at the end.
Yeah. We're sold either way. Tam's put, must pre-order that. That sounds fab. Dustin's put, this sounds so good. When's it due out? So September. Yeah. So, it's so exciting, Rosie. Thanks for telling us a bit more about it. Now, with regards to point horror, I believe this was like your first dive into point horror. So I kind of picked The Babysitter for a reason, because it's kind of like, if you know point horror or you saw point horror back in the day, this one's really instantly recognisable and quite a classic in the point horror. Yeah. So like, have you heard of point horror before, or?
I've heard of point horror, but for me, Goosebumps was the thing. So I've read R L Stine as Goosebumps. Somehow I missed point horror. Somehow I didn't realise that was a separate thing. And now I'm like, did I read point horror when I was younger and think it was Goosebumps? But I also didn't know, because the Goosebumps covers were so obvious. They had that writing, and they were all by R L Stine. They weren't by any other authors. And so I feel like I somehow missed point horror, which is a shame, because I would have loved it. I loved all the Goosebumps.
Yeah, I do think some people did go, like, I went kind of from Goosebumps to point horror and then straight to Stephen King. Like, there was kind of like no in between. But I can see that some people would go from Goosebumps to definitely to something else and skip point horror. But you was only young in the 90s, so you know.
Yeah,
it might be that.
I was born in 87, so I kind of was like primary school age. And
Yeah.
for part of the 90s, I actually lived in France and they
Ah.
didn't have goose. Like, I don't remember ever going to the bookshop and picking up books in French deliberately. I think so I was still learning the language.
Yeah.
I was hesitating to reading in English. So we come back for holidays and I would go to the bookshop and be like, I need all of these.
Oh, I love that. I know I've seen some of the French point horror covers, and I love the font that they use. It's so dramatic, and like, just love it. So yeah, so as I say, I picked this book for a reason, just for like your first kind of dive into point horror. So I'll do a little synopsis, what it was about. I'll try and keep it brief, but there's a lot that went on in this book.
For a little fight, a troll.
um, so the tagline on this one was every step she takes, he'll be watching. And I kind of like that because automatically you think of the police song straight away and start humming it. So, as I said, this
The
babysitter.
whole thing.
The Babysitter is the first book in the Babysitter series, so there was another 3 books after this. The 4th book does go off the rails a little bit. Poor Jenny. Or they all have Jenny in it. Um,
Point horrors. Jenny just has such a hard time.
poor
Like,
Jenny.
best experience as a babysitter, and then you keep babysitting, and then it happens again, but like a daddy. I think I'd change jobs. I'd be like, this isn't for me.
I mean, I give her one thing: she doesn't quit. Nothing gets her down. But as I say, yeah, wait till you read book 4, forget that. But yeah, she's a trooper, our Jenny. So obviously Jenny Jeffers is new to the area. She kind of gets recruited to babysit via the mall, where they pick up all the good babysitters. So she has to babysit twice a week, Thursdays and Saturdays, in a strange house and in a strange neighbourhood, because she needs the money for Christmas. So she agrees, priorities, and to kind of help her mom out as well a little bit. Um, but she has to abide by Mr. Hagen's rules, and Jenny's wild imagination totally has it covered with all these rules. So you got to keep windows and doors locked, curtains closed. She has lots of imaginary things about ghosts in the house, and things grabbing her legs, which turn out to be the cat. Basically, lots of rules and lots of things that are going to scare her in this house. And then all of a sudden, the phone calls start with the heavy breathing, eerie dark shadows, folded up notes in a bag, making these rules very hard to follow. And basically, someone's telling her, "Company's coming, babes." Don't know what the babes was about, but yeah,
Babes. Yeah.
babes. So just to start off with, setting the scene. So you're in a dark wood. There was like a house built before the Civil War time. It's been left to rot. It's been inherited by the Hagens. It's like a Victorian house, like something out of a horror movie. Hedges are all overgrown, leaves unraked, lots of groaning and creaking. Would you have taken the babysitting job
Yes.
in that house? Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't
100%.
even finish.
Okay. I have a theory. I love houses that look like a witch probably lives there. Like, if it's run down, it looks like somebody's inside making potions. I'm at home. It's the Stepford wives, the lawn's been done, the roses out front, everything's too perfect. Then I'm suspicious because then I know I'm babysitting for somebody who's probably counting how many juice boxes are in the fridge, and I'm only allowed one, and who's like, like who has a white couch and a white like carpet, and I would be too afraid to sit or do anything outside of a tiny little patch of kitchen in case I get a stain on something. If there's like tiles falling off, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll take an extra jumper. It might be chilly. That is more my vibe, and I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I like that. Me, on the other hand, would be a scaredy cat. I'd probably go there and then but then I'd just freak myself out. I think I'd be a bit like Jenna. Like my imagination would go wild. I'd freak myself out at every shadow, and I'd call my friends to come around and save me. So I think I would take the job, but I'd just freak myself out. But I loved how you were straight in there. Yes, 100%. Creepy houses for the win.
To be honest, the thing that would put me off a babysitting job would be the child, not
Mm.
house sitting. Yes, and like cat sitting.
Yes.
Keeping the child sane and alive, that's the challenge. Like that, I think the children would scare me more than the house. I would
That's true.
be responsible for keeping them alive for like 4 hours.
Yeah. Oh, and I just saw Ra just put the house needed a good cleansing with some sage.
Sage and
so, so evil spirits go. Oh dear. I love that scene where Jenny kind of like imagines like an old ghostly couple that may have lived in the house before, and I just love that because that's totally something I would do. I would imagine like these people who lived there before, try and see what they were doing.
I would read a version of The Babysitter where she's like a new age witch who arrives with her sage and her crystals and does a cleansing, and just to watch the parents' faces be like, what is going on? What is happening right now?
Imagine,
these protected ones when you leave the house.
Can you imagine Mr. Hagen's face? Like, I mean, he was mad enough when he caught her kissing. Can you imagine what he'd be like with the bringing all the crystals round?
Love to know. I'd be like, would that be within the rules, or would that be something where he's like, oh, I don't know, this is odd. Like, this is odd for him because some of the things he's like, this is weird. I'm like, it's not, is it? Like, that's just cool. So
He'd just stand there staring, like,
yeah, take your lucky crow's foot and leave.
Oh dear. I saw Kirsty put about Jenny, but yet she's happy to kiss the person she thinks is stalking her, which we'll probably get to a little bit.
But honestly, that's just the 90s.
Yeah.
That's just like the 80s and 90s vibes.
It's what we did in the 90s.
Not making good decisions. Like, all the media that people were exposed to was like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we can forgive her because it was the 90s. We'll forgive her. And Kirsty put scared of shadows and fantasy, but not so good at the safety in real life bit. Kirsty put, I remember reading Stephen King's It when babysitting for my English teacher. Jenny at least puts the Stephen King away. Yeah, she does. She's like, no, this is going to freak me out too much. Like, what book would you take if you was babysitting, Rosie? Like, I would definitely probably take Point Horror, knowing me, or like Grady Hendrix or something.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd probably be really, and this is going to count as boring because it's technically work. I would take whatever books I have to read for work because that's what I would be doing when the kiddos are asleep. I'd be on my laptop doing the work I need to do. So it would be some fantasy or YA book, but whichever one happened to be in my inbox next.
Oh, nice. Kirsty put, Jenny is obsessed with Donny, so maybe she was broody early.
She was
yeah, she's got an obsession with his hair. Like, I was talking to Eddie May, and she was like always ruffling his hair.
She's just obsessed with his ridiculously cute blonde hair, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I've looked at kids for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Adorable in the same way I've looked at a puppy and gone, oh my god, it's
yeah.
Touch them. Well, I mean,
no.
things I want to but like other people's children, I don't think I've ever had like a desire to be like, I would like to touch his hair.
Like,
no, she's a bit kind of intense, isn't she?
Yeah.
The only suggestions he had his hair. Really? He's 5. Bit weird.
Yeah, a bit weird. Dustin put, children are the downfall of babysitting for sure. So agreeing with you, Rosie.
Without the child, there was no job.
Tam's put, yeah, we all went around kissing our stalkers. Potentially. Oh dear. Marzipan Pony put, oh yes, when we believe the lie of he's a jerk because he likes you, like back in the 90s.
Yes. Oh, he's only bullying you on the playground because he thinks you're cute. It's like, well, It's a piss off, ain't it? It's not endearing.
That old chestnut that I fell
That
for
was
numerous times.
such a thing that was said all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And Scott's put, yeah, I thought she was getting a bit obsessed with his hair. It was like mentioned a lot. So talking about Jenny then, what did you think of Jenny as our main point horror girl? Did you like her? Did you hate her? What did you think?
I am getting major Bella from Twilight vibes.
Yes.
Right, because okay, she's a brunette who looks like a famous actress. I think we can all agree
Mm.
she does, but like she totally doesn't know that she's beautiful. Like she just thinks she's so plain compared to her friend she sees on the basketball minutes at the beginning, who's like blonde and petite and gorgeous, and she's like slightly taller with brown hair and just happens to look like Demi Moore, but like that doesn't make her pretty. And it's like,
No. Oh, I don't look like Demi Moore.
and then she also is quite happy to kind of, I mean, the one thing I appreciate about Bella from Twilight is that she sees a clue, she grabs onto it, and she's like, aha, something's going on here. She's like the antithesis of that, where she's like, all these weird things are happening. It's probably fine. I'm not going to tell a grown up at all. Like, even though these things are way above my maturity level. Like,
Oh dear. But then when she does like get a bit of common sense to tell, like phone the police, the police just fob her off.
Can you imagine calling the police and be like, yeah, I'm babysitting and there's some weird stuff going on, and the policeman being like, oh, can you call this other number? And you know, despite the fact that in a small town we've had a number of babysitters being attacked, so she's literally the #1 victim profile, and they're like, call back later, lad.
Oh, it did make me laugh.
Very well.
No.
Like,
And like if that was me in the 90s, like I would never be able to find a pen to write the number down, like just nowhere. Be
yeah.
scrambling through the junk drawer and just like,
Oh shit, I can't text it. Okay, fine. Yeah. But also, I totally get the fact that like her reaction to that police call was 100% accurate, in the sense that she's a teenager, she's never done this before, it's a big deal calling the police. I have no problem with how she dealt with it. But police, what are you doing? Like, come on. Like, no. And I get that, like, later, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read it, there was a policeman kind of already on the case. But that does not excuse that operator. No.
I could just imagine him sitting there just like, oh, he's at the end of his shift, can't be bothered with his donut. Typecasting policeman there.
Oh, I mean, she'll probably be fine.
Oh yeah, that scene. I just saw Teddy's, but how the police dealt with her call was too funny. Yeah, I had to reread that bit because it was just hilarious.
I'd like to think that no police service would actually deal with a distressed teenager in that way. I can't prove that. I don't know. It probably has happened that way. I'm so sorry for that kid, but like.
And Kirsty's just put the police. Oh, smell! The police. Kirsty's put the police actions were questionable throughout. To be honest, well, yeah, I really do agree with that, because it was at the end. So we can say spoilers. The spoilers ahead for the babysitter. But when Willis kind of says, obviously reveals that he's a police officer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I chased you down the path when you were going on the first day, but then I decided, nah, just let her go in. She can be my pawn."
I mean, I love a morally grey character. Even better when they're attached to law and enforcement, and you know, supposed to be the mature adult taking care of citizens. Like, yeah. It's like, yeah, just, you know, it's like maybe it was a massive sting operation, but then I feel like the reveal would have been hampered because they probably would have asked. Oh, they should have asked her to wear a bug and a mic and stuff. Except in the 90s, it was probably like a backpack.
Yeah, something out of Ghostbusters.
It's kind of like, shit, they'll never know it's there.
And they would have got away with that because obviously the kid Donnie loved Ghostbusters, so she could have just like, you know,
Could have
as
just
part of
made it
babysitting.
like a uniform and be like, I'm here to play with the kid. Can we talk about murdering you?
Oh, I like that. Tam's put the policeman she spoke to reminded me of Hopper from Stranger Things in episode 1. Mornings off a coffee and contemplation vibes. Yeah,
Yes.
couldn't be bothered. Marzipan Foley said the police saying they can't investigate phone calls, have a friend come over instead was peak 90s horror. Yeah, just have a friend come over. It's fine.
Well,
It's
why
fine.
to be like, no, I have no friends. Like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, love, you're on your own.
It's not like phone your mom, you know, phone your parents, phone your mom. No, just get a friend to come over, protect you. But another thing that I loved about Jenny was, as I mentioned earlier, she had such an active imagination and this kind of like inner monologue, and there was just no way to stop Jenny dreaming up like crazy things and always preferring to imagine things than doing them. But some of the things she came out with, like the bit when I wrote down, what's that in the front yard? Were they squirrels? The squirrels seemed to be holding paws, and it just turned out to be leaves dancing around in the wind.
Oh, it was very amusing, like just the constant things she would think up and then be like, that's outrageous. I was like, squirrels aren't that outrageous though. I mean, they do exist in gardens.
Yeah.
It should be like living gnomes having a battle to the death, then
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
active imagination there. But yeah, no, I liked how that was established as a part of her character, because you can see her using it again and again as that kind of thing of, oh no, nothing really happened, it's just my imagination, it's just my imagination. Or no one will believe me because I have such an active imagination, kind of thing.
Yeah. But as I say, I do feel like, you know, I do feel like I'm a little bit like Jenny. Like my imagination does go off on a tangent quite often, and I sit there, and then next thing I know, it's escalated in my mind. I'm like, oh well, what if blah blah blah. But yeah, so I do feel like I did understand vivid imagination, and also the fact that like she doesn't say yes to things straight away. She likes to think about it before she says yes. And I thought, except for babysitting, she'd said yes to that immediately.
But he had the silky hair.
Yeah, it was the hair that did it. The hair.
Silky.
Oh dear. Oh, April's put, I loved the squirrel bit. Miss Boo Boo's put, oh, that was funny, the squirrels. Yeah. Dustin's put, Jenny has psychosis or something, paranoid much. She was quite paranoid, but
paranoid.
I feel
and
it was justified sometimes.
I mean, by the end, it was definitely justified. But I don't know, I feel like she had paranoia in the same way. She was like, oh, there's a noise in the house. Like houses noises. I don't know. I was just, it felt a little repetitive after a while, where I was like, is there going to be somebody actually in the house? Like one of these times needs to not be a fake out. Yeah. Because I just want there to be, to walk in, there just be some psycho with a mask eating in the kitchen. Like just being like, about to get you. She's like, what?
Yeah. And I do give her a bit of credit as well, because when Chuck comes round, I think it might be the first time, and they hear like a bang outside, and like Chuck stays in the house by the kitchen door, and she's like, stay there, I'm gonna go investigate. And I thought, do you know what, actually I give Jenny some credit there. She did go out and investigate the noise.
She did. I feel like she is a nicely proactive protagonist, but not, as you say, she does think things through. She isn't overly spontaneous. It's that active imagination that kind of does it, like kind of twists things for her. But she goes out and sorts stuff out. But she like, No, it's fine. I'm just not going to talk in this.
Don't tell anybody. Sharon's put point horror where no adults are ever around. Yes, even the police.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even if they are around, they're useless.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a point horror without useless police or useless parents. Sharon's put also Donny was not cute, he was annoying. So how did you feel about Donny? Did you find him annoying? He's only 6.
I mean, he just felt like a very normal, average 6-year-old, to be honest. Like, I sort of kind of forgot he was there unless I had to. Remember?
Mm,
Because he just felt like the reason that she was in the house rather than the actual story. Even though obviously he is, or children are a huge kind of point to the story. But
yeah.
um,
He
yeah,
was.
I mean, I babysat kids of that age before, and yeah, they'll find every excuse to get out of bed and like, they're just in their own little worlds, and they're a combination of fun and frustrating. So I feel like Donnie that
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, Melina's agreeing Donny was annoying. Tam's put Donny very annoying. If you think Donny was annoying in this book, you wait till we read the second book and you meet Eli. That's all I'm saying. Whew. Um, yeah, Marzipan Pony says Donny grew up and turned into a game store owner named Julian. So out of the Forbidden Game that we read in previous months. Yeah, I think with Donny, like, it did really push Jenny's buttons quite a lot. Like, I'm not sure that she was a very good babysitter because, like, she used to just read him numerous stories, let him like stay up, you know.
Babysitter. Like I think it's fine to occasionally, let a kid stay up a little bit later or, whatever. But 90% of the time you stick to rules, you get the job done,
Mm.
they'll be exhausted, they need their good night's sleep. And also if people are sending you creepy messages and calling and saying company's coming, you know what you do? You do something about it because technically the child is in the house and in danger. I kept feeling like when things got scary, she just forgot there was
She
a child.
forgot. Yeah, she'd just abandon him. She would.
Why
She'd
did you
go.
go to this house? Not for the lols, love. You're here to take care of a small, impressionable life causing havoc upstairs. Like, she was a babysitter. I would not hire her.
No,
100%.
no.
Because number one, she would not observe any of my instructions as a parent. And number two, if something terrible happened, she would not inform me as a parent that her and the life of my child had been threatened by a
Yeah,
stranger.
she just wouldn't. She just, oh, she's so annoying sometimes, that Jenny. Yeah, she wasn't a very good babysitter, and I think that's why he came across like Miss Boo Boo's put he was a brat. So he did come across a bit like that. But I think he was just like doing what any normal kid would do and just try and push the babysitter's buttons a little bit too far,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And April's put I couldn't believe how many parties the parents went to during the week. I know
They are
they
so
had
popular.
they had a good social life. I think it was more like the wife than yeah. But anyway, they went out quite a lot.
And the wife as well, like she was a bit terrible because she had to
Mm,
be a useless adult or this or things would have been solved.
mm.
She
Yeah,
had to
because
be terrible.
she kind of like Mary. That was her name. I was trying to think what her name was, or Mrs. Hagen, isn't it? But she kind of kept saying to Jenny, like, "Oh, don't tell Mr. Hagen. Just sweep it under the carpet," and stopping her from like saying anything.
But that was
But
also don't tell me because Jenny, I know she never said specifically don't tell me, but as soon as Jenny even went to say anything, she immediately dismissed it and said don't tell Mr. Hager. So it kind of insinuated that even communicating with them was a bad idea.
yeah,
Like some of the logic behind why Mr. Hagen was doing what he was doing versus, I was just like, but this just feels so unfair on her, which I know is the point because you
mm,
literally just made it impossible for her to actually be good at her job. And like, I mean, she was terrible anyway. I'm not giving her any stuff, but like, you know,
Yeah.
you're like threatening her, and then you get mad if she gets a friend over to make her feel more secure, or like, do you know what I mean? It just,
Yeah.
which
They
I get
didn't.
the point because he's not in his right mind.
Yeah. But they didn't give her like any backstory or reasons as to why this was going on. So that just fueled Jenny's imagination more.
Backstory. Like I
Mm,
feel like I don't think we ever learned how their other child passed away. You just knew it was when the babysitter was taking care of him and it wasn't the babysitter's fault. It's like, okay, but actually knowing the specifics of it would have been really important to make the stuff make sense, because
mm,
it's Jenny having friends over was the thing that pushed it too far, and that
mm,
Hagen had been doing all the creepy phone calls and doing all the stuff to try and prompt her to make that mistake, to try and protect herself. And it's when she stepped over that line
mm,
that he snapped. And I'm like, okay, so probably the child passed away when friends were in the house, and that shouldn't have been happening, because I feel like it has to replicate that situation to kind of be the trigger. And
mm,
I just felt it was implied, but it
mm.
did more clearly, and it would have been like,
Yeah.
uh-huh. It's wishy-washy over
Yeah.
that, where it's more clearly stated.
Yeah. I feel like, I think they did say in the end that Mr. Hagen blamed the babysitter at the time for what happened. I thought it said a drowning, but I might have
Drowned,
imagined that.
but
but yeah,
I
I
thought
think
more around the circumstances would have
mm,
been an
yeah,
example.
it wasn't clear.
Yeah, and I didn't quite get why Mr. Hagen was like sending all the creepy messages and saying company's coming, babes.
Babes.
Where did he get the babes from? Where did that come from? Is he trying to sound like a teenager or something?
It was just so random. Like, I remember reading this like back in the day and always being so shocked that it was Mr. Hagen, and so much so like I often forget sometimes the reveals on books, but this one has stayed with me because I think
Remember,
I was like, why would he say babes? I don't get
to
it.
throw you off the scent so that you don't think it's him.
Red herrings.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
clever.
Oh, it worked on me every time. Raj has put Donny really was annoying. I agree, and yes, April. That's what I was wondering about the parents having such an active social life. And oh no, Melina's put now. There's a word that I notoriously can't say, so I think I've been practicing. So Donny, age 6, watches Poltergeist. I said it right. I can never say that word. So yeah, age 6. But I have to admit, as I always say, my nan used to put horror films on when I was 6.
I
So,
want all kinds of things, like, yeah.
but yeah, it was just like, at least like my mom would say, no, she's not watching that. The parents were just like, yeah, just put the tape in.
Poltergeist, it'll really calm him down. Yeah.
The worst thing is, he did fall asleep while he was watching Poltergeist. Yes. I have to celebrate every time I say it right.
Hardcore kid.
Yeah,
He's hardcore.
yeah, definitely. It soothed him. It was the hearing the white noise on the TV. That's what it was. Raj has put it was all the apple juice before bed, sending him on a sugar high. Yeah, so much apple juice.
Yeah.
Mm.
My teeth and keep them away.
Tam's put, oh gosh, I don't know if I've got the energy or patience to meet Eli from book 2. Oh, you wait. You think Donnie was annoying? um, yeah, and the part workers comics reader said, but she's getting gigs for 4 other books. There is no word of mouth in this town.
Yeah.
She must have got a good reference from Mr. Hagen somehow. It
Yeah.
must have been the babes. Babes.
But
I wonder if he did the reference and he was like, she's a good babysitter, babes.
she's a good babysitter.
Babysitter. That's what it was. Oh, I like it. Scott said if something had happened, she would probably have forgotten Donnie and ran, although I would probably do the same. Yeah, we'll just leave Donnie behind. Yeah, we don't care. Raj put Mrs. Hagen was clearly living on a different planet. Nikki put, how did they know so many people when they were new to the area? I've lived in my house for 20 years and hardly know the neighbours.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like there's a very obvious answer to this, but you shouldn't speak it out loud.
Does it involve keys in a bowl?
I
We
do
know.
feel like Mr. Hagen was in the right emotional state for at all, but I also feel like Mrs. Hagen does not really express much actual concern for his well-being and mental health. But she's like, I know you're feeling down, darling. Go out.
It'll do you good.
Twice a week. Twice a week.
Mama needs her sugar.
And she came home early because he was worried about stuff. She rates him. Sometimes you're just like tired and you want to go to sleep on the couch and watch Poltergeist until the early hours. Like,
That's it.
In Mrs. Hagen.
Yeah, she had ulterior motives, definitely. Speedway Chick said the previous babysitter was distracted and the first child drowned. Yeah, so that's where I got that from.
Was she distracted by like a group of friends?
She must have been, yeah. Must have been somehow.
I wanted that to be stated so that that kind of switch, that being the incident that really pushed him.
Yeah.
Like the thing that really pushed him.
Yeah, we definitely needed like more meat on that, definitely, to like fully understand why he was the way he was. Speedway Chick said Mrs. Hagen didn't come across as worrying after losing a child, in my opinion. Yeah, she was. I agree. She was quite happy to just go. Yeah, just leave him with the babysitter. Yeah.
I mean, grief is a difficult thing, and people express it in different ways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yes, I don't think she comes across as the typical grieving mother in a storybook. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Teddy Producer said, how did the other babysitters who had been attacked not ID the dad? Did he wear a mask or something? I can't remember them explaining. No, they didn't explain that.
They just like mysteriously attacked. Like it just didn't. And also it made it sound like they were all mysteriously attacked in a different houses for different friends. And then the idea that there's like somebody watching from outside the house attacking Jenny in this house kind of plays along with that. And then the twist, you're like, oh wait, were they all in this house? I did not understand that either.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that actually. Were they all previous babysitters in the Hagen household?
Previous babysitters in the Hagen house, maybe, but it wasn't clear because then it kind of changes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel like that's a bit of a plot hole. R L Stine.
Yeah, I think that's where it could have done with just being a little bit longer, just to give us a bit of an explanation on that.
It's a nice little slim volume, so population paragraphs in
there. Sharon says, why did she get into the car with him after she'd seen the clippings?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because when I'm in imminent danger, I also am like, I shall get in the car. But then again, I kind of understand. I remember what it was like being a teenager and being around men who were predatory or dangerous in some way and still not feeling able to keep myself safe. Because we are so trained as young women to smile and be sweet and never be rude to an adult, never disobey an adult. So even though you know someone's dangerous, like as a grown woman now, I'd be like, absolutely not. I would like to think that teenagers now would also be able to kind of stand their ground and fight a bit more. But when in the sort of 2000s for me, when I was a teen, I 100% was in situations that were not safe, that I struggled to get myself because of that power imbalance.
Yeah.
So although why the hell did she get in the car? I agree, why the hell did she get in the car? But I also understand the psychology of why she did.
Because she was very, even when she got in the car at the end, because what I picked up on was she was that lost in her thinking, I guess, because she kept like staring out of the window, that even when he locked the doors, now Jenny at the start of the book, if he'd locked the doors, her imagination would just go wild, wild, wild thinking. But even when he locked the doors, she kind of was like, oh, that's strange, but then doesn't overthink it. Like, she doesn't do what she does at the start of the book. She kind of had a bit of a change of character there, or that she was a little bit too
Mm.
chill at that time. I don't know. I thought it was a bit.
For her to have taken a knife out of the kitchen drawer and just like get him in the neck. A very different kind of vibes I learnt from the end. I was like, oh no, she's not gonna like aggressively.
Yeah.
This is not a character who will be played by Chloe Grace Moretz. Like, is that the name? I can't remember the one who was in Kick-Ass, who was like,
Yes, I know you mean, with the blonde hair. Yeah.
I was like, this is not her. This is a much meeker, quieter girl.
Definitely. Speed Ray Chick said that on page 86, talking about Chuck. So, what did you think of Chuck first before I bring this particular scene up?
Okay. That boy is a walking red flag.
Yes. Oh.
There is nothing to like about him. And the only reason she actually sort of gets with him is because he plucked up the courage to call her. And like, she realizes that, you know, behind his tomfoolery and his arseholishness, he's like quite a shy guy, and he's using humor to cover it. It's like, okay, cool, that doesn't excuse all of the red flags, which, to be fair to Jenny, were not red flags in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
That was just existence and flirting and life. Like, you know, going under the table and threatening to upskirt people, and like it's just this playground bullying thing again of like, oh, but he likes you, that's why he's being hot to you. And I just felt like he was just playing into those tropes. I don't think she should have called him back.
No, I really don't like Chuck at all. That being said, like, I always pictured him, as I've reread it over the years, as being played by Adam Devine. Like, I always bring him up on my chats because I do like him. But yeah, he's like a comedy actor. My mind's gone blank on what he's been in now. I know he was in Modern Family, Final Girls, the film. If you Google him, you'd recognise him. But I kind of imagine him a bit like that. But I don't want him to play it because I really hated Chuck. I hated him with a passion. But there is a scene which Speed Rachik's just referred to where it's never explained, and I feel this is like a point horror mystery. So it's when he goes over to Jenny's house, and he goes, I've written the quote down, he had come over to her house to study on Tuesday night. Jenny's mom had thought he was really terrific too. Jenny's mom. Sure, he did some pretty gross things with a bunch of bananas he found on the kitchen table, but he wouldn't be Chuck if he didn't clown around some of the time.
Yes!
What did he do with the bananas?
What did he do with the bananas? I mean, we will never know. And I feel like our imagination...
My imagination doesn't want to go there. Oh dear, no, we won't go there. And the heavy breathing stuff down the phone, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just nervous." No.
Yeah, like I still think he would talk. I don't know. It feels weird. I pictured him. I ignored whatever character description there was of him, and I just saw in the sort of American Horror Story, Evan Peters. Is that Evan Peters?
Oh yes.
My head.
Yeah.
He's playing a character who's kind of cozying up but secretly always evil. So I think I was just waiting for him to be secretly evil, because it's this kind of charming, but something slightly off. Because I think in American Horror Story, every character he plays is just about them. Particularly if they're a charming character. Yeah. So well. And so lovely in real life, but sadly killing. And I was just waiting for like Chuck to be involved with like plot twist.
Ooh, what?
Chuck and Mr. What's his name? Harris? What is his name?
Hagen.
The bad guy. Hagen, that's it. The killer guy that we're talking about. They could have teamed up like a team. because you know you get the dominant guy who like teaches the younger guy. And like, if this was
it.
CSI, that's what would have happened. If CSI did an episode of based on the babysitter, I guarantee you.
Oh, that would have been a good twist as well.
Like
Like I would have bought into that. That would.
Sensory would have been like, I think we're looking at a team.
Yeah. Two of them. Oh no, that would have been so good. Teddy put if something bad happened to Donny, it would have been collateral damage. Yeah, totally. Marzipan Pody said about those bananas, it was weird. What on earth did he do? Smush them up and wear them like a hat?
I mean, I think that's the nicest thing he could have done.
So, yeah, it's like we're never gonna know, never. Miss Boo Boo put, but he freaked so much with the mask. Was that Donny or was that because Chuck brought the mask in, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, when he scared Jenny with that mask as well.
Which didn't make any sense.
No,
because
why do that?
When I'm trying to charm a girl, I also wear scary masks when she's like in a house and like
a house that's you've already having phone calls in, you're already scared. He comes along with a mask, scares out. Oh, I knew you'd look out the window.
Flirtation technique to be like, hi, I think we should go out sometime.
Yeah. And then she kind of uses her common sense, like, you're not coming in the house now, you've really annoyed me. But then 2 minutes later, they're kissing on the couch. Oh, Jenny. Jenny.
I don't know what she wants.
Speed Racing said that's a good point. Actually, it did make it sound like an outside person, similar to Halloween. I'm not sure whether that was something we was talking about earlier. Yeah. Shaman's put, I was not well behaved. I can't speak tonight. A well behaved teen. I would have punched him back in the day. Yes.
As you should have.
Yes. Speed Racing said hated Chuck. Tam said Chuck is Scott said Chuck may be one of the most annoying characters in point horror history. Yeah, up there with the Franks from April Fool.
Does he stay in the series?
He is in the sequel, and they do try and redeem him a little bit in the sequel, but it just doesn't work.
He murdered by a slasher in like Babysitter 3 because that I would read.
We just frame it on the wall the day Chuck died.
Just Jenny being like, oh, that's a shame. I quite liked it. Well, onwards.
Move on, next. Marzipan said Chucky's a typical class clown jerk R L Stine character. Bob can't have a book without a jokester, and his 70s idea of what is funny in the 90s is just a lot. Yeah, that's so true.
I love the teen dialogue. Like, I mean, obviously it's so far away from how teens even spoke when I was a teenager or how teens would speak now that it's just so delightful to read. It's all the exclamation marks and the kind of like just the way that the author's like, yeah, this is how a teenage girl thinks and talks. No, but it's great fun.
Justin said, oh yeah, that's, do you know when your mind goes blank when you bring an actor up? But Pitch Perfect Adam Devine was in. Of course he was. My mind just went blank. You'd recognise him, I'm sure you will. Scott says, I don't want to know what he did with the bananas. Oh, Miss Boo Boo said the French version, because she read it in French, with the awesome font on the front. The French version didn't say anything about bananas. Oh, they took that out. Interesting.
French to take a saucy reference out, is it?
That means it was definitely. It might have been.
That means that the French read that and went, "That's supposed to be rude. We're taking this to this kid's book."
Yeah.
We should to the children. English, not so much.
Yeah, the Americans and the UK, fine. They can take it. Miss Boo Boo put Mr. Hagen was overreacting about the mask when she mentioned earlier. Yeah, he really did go over the top. Scott says, I laughed at the end when Jenny's recovering and says how happy she is to be here. And Chuck's reply is, yes, it's a nice kitchen. I didn't pick that up, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's classic Chuck, isn't it? Like,
So yeah.
I feel like it would be a very fun exercise to rewrite all of the point horrors specifically for a contemporary audience with how we would write horror today.
Yeah.
Today, with how, because I think we'd end up with a protagonist who's a lot more kick-ass.
Yes.
Like, kind of final girl sense. Like, at some point she would be like, right, I'm going to take this into my own hands. And then you'd have like the training montage and the sound of like her pulling a knife from the butcher block and like just going out to do battle under lightning skies, or like the bad guy with Chuck in the door being like, I don't want to die. It would be great. So somebody should do that just as a bit of a piss take. Just for like the joy of entertainment.
I would read that.
Just rewrite them. But the rule is they can't be any bigger than the original. And they have
That would be
to
so
have
cool.
the same basic plot and characters as the original.
That would be so cool. That would. Oh yes, someone needs to do that, definitely. Rosie. The part. I don't know why I can't speak tonight. The part works comic reader said, "Are you saying a Frenchman can't take a banana, or contraire?" It's so true. Oh, I love that they took that scene out.
A Frenchman would have better taste than to make such a crude joke.
Exactly. But I just love that we know they took that out. That's hilarious. Thank you for telling us.
We are like, that has no taste. We are not putting that in. And then remove it. Because it just, what is this behavior? In this country, we know better.
Oh dear. Melina's put, get writing, Rosie. Kelly put, this was my first ever point horror, so it will always be a special one to me, despite Chuck and Donna. Yeah, it definitely holds a place in people's hearts, because if it was, my first was The Waitress, and I'm too scared to reread it because we've read other Sinclair Smith ones, and I'm like, oh dear, it's going to crush my soul. But we'll see. We'll do it one day. So before the reveal of Mr. Hagen, who were you suspecting Mr. Hagen all the way through, or did you think it was someone else? You knew it.
Yeah. I thought maybe it was going to be Chuck, kind of a la Scream, but then I thought, no, he's being set up as as soon as she started to suspect him too much, I was like, no, it's too early. Like, he'll be slashed unless he's found innocent, and then double twist. It was a team effort. But that didn't happen. No. So there's not that many characters. And I was like, either this is going to be some random psycho killer that we haven't met on the page before, or it's got to be him. I thought at one point maybe Madame. Because I was like, she might say babes.
Yeah, I thought that. I was really, I mean, I've read it a few times, but I was like, how cool would it be if it was like Mrs. Hagen, or even the bestie, Laura?
Yeah, just good. Awful. Yeah. Like, she had some kind of like deep wound in her friendship.
Oh dear. Yeah, Sharon's put, I thought it was Mr. Hagen too. Kelly's put, there weren't many suspects this time round. Miss Boo Boo's put, I read the blurb behind the babysitter too, and it spoiled it for me. Oh, don't read the blurb, then I'll have to check the blurb on the second one. Yeah, so I think it was a bit obvious it was Mr. Hagen, to be honest, but I really wanted it to be someone else. So that whole ending, like the cliff top where he takes her to the quarry, I think it was, and I love the description of the way that she describes the lights. So as she's walking, she can see the lights are shining and then they just disappear, and she realises like where she is, and that she's going to be pushed to her death. And obviously Mr. Hagen falls to his egg-cracking death. Stine loves an egg-cracking death. So do you think that, because they kind of just leave him down there and go, like, do you think he was alive? Like, or do you think he was dead?
In,
What do you think?
not for long, if you. I mean, that's quite the drop, and he cracked like an egg, as Stein said. So I would, I would like to think he was survived and got the help that he
Mm,
needed, because
mm,
it's kind of sad. Like,
mm.
kind of,
It is sad.
you know,
It is.
he should never, his mental health should never have gotten to that point. Like, yes, he's the bad guy because he's been hurting people,
Mm,
but you know, he lost a child. And I mean, I have to say, what was refreshing is quite often it's the mother who is given a psychotic break
yeah,
for the loss of a child. So it was kind of refreshing to
yeah,
read
that's true.
having
Yeah,
psychotic break for the loss of a child, but like he is going through extreme mental health issues and he does need help. So I
yeah.
think actually this is very much the fault of the police, because they had enough evidence to at least arrest him and investigate, and they did nothing.
No.
And it resulted in his either death or, like,
Mm,
you know, life-changing
mm.
injuries on his part. 3 young girls were horribly beaten, and 1 girl almost lost her life. And the only person who really failed was the police service,
Yeah,
Frank.
because they just couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered.
You
No,
know?
no.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you say though. It was refreshing to deal with it from a man's perspective kind of thing. Especially like for a 90s book as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Kelly's put, it's quite sad really. He had a psychotic break because of the death of his child. So yeah, that's it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, it's sad.
It is sad.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. The part workers.
Chuck will bring him some bananas in hospital. Make him feel better.
Probably the ones that he was doing whatever the unspeakable things were with.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's your French bananas in? Like, these ones are somehow magically grown in France in some kind of hothouse. Grow in France, but well, the French can do anything. Right, I'm gonna scooch everybody this week because my phone just went. Oh, we have no battery.
oh no! No
Move
worries.
with me
Oh, is
to
it
the
nice?
other.
The part workers comic reader said Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Oh, bless him. So do you think you felt quite sorry for Mr. Hagen in the end then? Is that what we're saying? We felt a little bit sorry for him.
He's still a dick. He's still like. I'm gonna have to remove you from the stand. Look at
Ouch!
that.
Ouch!
So beautiful.
Oh wow!
And the ugly light fittings we need to change, but they're like cemented into the wall.
Oh
So
no!
that's going to be
It's gonna be
but
interesting.
we have to get bookcases in on either side, so I think
Yeah.
that's
Bookcases are a must.
some weird POV thing of a millennial point.
Kelly's
I'm just
book.
going to have to hold you. Hold on.
Oh no worries.
Hello.
Oh, we're nearly at the end anyway. We're nearly there. Kelly's put, poor man, he did some bad things, but it was quite interesting reason this time round. Yeah, I thought the reasoning was tragically good for a point horror, definitely. So overall, like, what did you think? Did you find it scary at all, or would you read more point horror?
I would definitely read more. I would definitely read more. I wouldn't say I found it scary, but it was very entertaining. So I would definitely read more. I think what I loved about it was getting to the end and it was like, this is a YA novel. Because what we're used to being in the YA category now is significantly longer and significantly darker and just more complex in every way.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, probably actually, because it's got the kissing in it, which is not a middle grade thing at all. So yeah, okay, it is in the like.
And I always say, like, if anyone says to me, "Oh, I'm new to point horror, what should I read first?" And like Speedway Chick said, "Yeah, this isn't the best point horror, but I always recommend this one as like a stepping stone, like into point horror, because I think it gives a good overview of what it's kind of like. And yes, there are better point horror out there, But this one is such a classic, and I was reading it and thinking, oh, I wonder what Rosie thought of this, and I wonder what Rosie thought of that, because
I
obviously
was
I said,
probably laughing, honestly. I just had the best time, like absolutely cackling my way through it. And
yeah,
like I don't know if you find this like when your characters in particularly like a thriller or a horror and they're doing something and you have to talk them through it. You have to coach them. And there's that podcast that always says, you know, oh sweetie no. Like whenever somebody does something that and it's not in a horrible way, it's like being said in a kind of supportive, oh my god baby, like let me hold
yeah,
your hand. And it's like I'm like, oh sweetie no, like come on, we can do this together. That was not a good choice. That was not a good, like what are we doing? Come on.
yeah,
Like let's think this
yeah,
through. Yeah, so then when she hooked up with Chuck, I was like, oh sweetie no, come on. We can do better. We're
yeah.
worth more than this.
Yeah, definitely. She was worth more than Chuck, 100%. Um,
Yeah, and then when she got on the truck, I was like, no, what are you doing? What? I was like, you
yeah.
better have a knife, honey, or what is the plan? So yes, I had a great time, and I really enjoyed yelling at the characters as they did things. It was really good.
Yeah, that's what I love about point horror. Like you can just have a good time with it, just enjoy it. It's an enjoyable reading experience, and you know we can just shout at the characters and say, "No, what are you doing, Jenny? Jenny Jeffers." Kelly put, "I clearly would read more as this was where it began for Kelly. So it's not the best." But this is a fun one with key tropes, yeah. So it's got classic like point horror tropes all over the place. Creepy note, creepy phone calls. Yeah. Dodgy
Pieces in the
love interest.
backyard. Yeah.
Yeah. But I loved like the atmosphere and the creepiness of it, and like the, you know, it wasn't scary, but the tension is there. And I think as a teen, I think I would have been like, I would have just raced through this book. Um, I can't remember reading it the first time, I will be honest, when I was a teen, but I know I did. And I just would have raced through it and thought, oh, and I would have been really shocked by that twist at that time when I was a teen as well, definitely. But yes, Speed Chick said, but then we shout at horror movies. Yes, I'm always shouting at horror movies. Do you do that, Rose?
Oh
I'm
my
always
God.
doing that.
I will, yeah. I have this thing where if I'm really into something, I have to act it out. I have to talk through it. It drives everybody nuts. And it's the same if I'm reading a book. I know I'm really into it because it will become a fully fledged production in our living room. Like, are we doing all the voices? Are we standing up? Are we acting out the parts? Like, and I'm just so into it, and I'll do it when I'm watching horror
Yeah.
movies as well, particularly because I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. Why is it favorite the horror movie, like horror comedy, where they're self-aware, where they're playing with the tropes,
Yeah.
right, and anything that plays with tropes is like and with books as well, because Bill Woods has Let's Split Up coming out, and I
Yes. Oh, I
cannot
can't wait for that.
wait to read that because again, it's just like very aware of all those tropes and is deliberately playing with those tropes. And I cannot wait. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
no.
I'm getting an early copy soon, I think.
Oh,
Like,
exciting.
yeah,
I'm really
it's
excited
really
for
exciting.
that. And just a little spoiler, but I have got convinced Bill to read a point horror.
Have you?
Yeah, and he's going to come
Oh,
on and be a guest. So that'll be happening sometime in the year. So yeah, can't wait for that. It'll be brilliant.
Well, that was a convenient little mention then, wasn't it?
That was, yeah, we didn't plan that at
And
all.
it's as if we did, but we did not. This is why I'm like, yes, I'm psychic and I can read your mind.
You can, my mind to your mind. Melina's put it was a very descriptive for a Stine book. The setting definitely was creepy. Sharon put, I love the atmosphere too as a 40-year-old something. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Rosie. I'm glad you had fun. Thanks for going along with my suggestion of the babysitter. Ooh. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope that you do get to read some more point horror. Maybe come back on if we do the sequel.
Oh my
Then
God, let's do it. Let's
do
do
we
the
do
sequel.
it?
Yeah, like there's something quite nostalgic about them. Even though I never read them, I remember the era that they come from a bit, and
Yeah,
like it just, yeah,
yeah.
it's
I think
nostalgic.
we need to follow it through now, you know, and do there's the sequel there, and then the third one, and third one, then the fourth one. So yes. But thank you for joining us, Rosie, and do check out Rosie's books. Pre-order Phantom Hearts, because exciting. That's my excited face, Rosie, when I promise. And thanks for everyone who's joined in and put fantastic comments up. It's always a pleasure chatting Point Horror with everybody. And we'll be back next month. But thank you, Rosie. Thanks for being our special guest and putting up with me, like messaging you throughout the month as well. Can you answer these questions?
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Rosie. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye, babes.
Bye, babes.
Bye, babes. Bye.